Hello again. Well, if you've watched some of my videos, you've quite often heard me say that we're products of our environments. And we sort of do what we were taught to do when we were very young by our parents, and then we sort of pass that along to future generations. I met a guy at the gym that I sort of started working out with, and he's Indian, and we chatted, and I've been working with him for, I guess, on and off a couple of months. And I started really pushing him as far as making him do exercises that he wasn't sort of normally accustomed in doing. And he really appreciated the instruction that I provided, and he invited me for breakfast. So we went and had breakfast, and we're sitting there chatting, and we started touching on politics, which is where I usually end up. What ended up happening was he is a Muslim, and he does pray, I believe it's 5 times a day. And I asked him what party he belonged to, and he said he's a member of the Democratic Party, which wasn't any big surprise. And then I started asking him some questions, and these are similar to the questions that I've posted on numerous videos. I asked him if he knew who started the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, and he had no idea. And I brought him up to speed on that particular topic. And then we touched upon the Jim Crow laws, and again he had no idea. And I explained that to him. And then we discussed immigration and how this usurper is so eager to push through immigration reform. And then I brought him up to speed on how the Democratic Party fought to prevent immigrants from coming to the country in the early 20s and 30s. And what came out of this is that he, again, had no idea of a whole lot of the events, which again comes back to what I said earlier. We tend to be products of our environments. He was taught by his parents and by people around him to follow certain rules, Islam being one of them. And I said that he's fortunate in a sense that his imam wasn't a radical, because if his imam would have been a radical, then he himself would have been a radical. I asked him as to how many Muslims he thought were in the world, and he said, well, he thought it was around 1 billion. And I said, well, I think you're about 500 million shy. And then I asked him, I said, so out of those 1.5 billion Muslims, how many do you think are radical extremists? He said he thought possibly about 1 million. And I told him that he's 149 million shy of that number as well. And my point being is that people are ill-informed or they're not informed. And the Republican Party isn't sending out the right message. What they need to do is they need to educate the Democrats that are Democrats, and they need to inform them how evil the Democratic Party has always been, and how cruel the Democratic Party has been, and still is in most cases. The Republicans need to educate the Democrats as to what the real intent of the Democratic Party is. And it isn't to serve the masses, it's to serve the elitists. A lot of Republicans are guilty of that as well. But all Democrats are guilty of it. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to weed out those Republicans that are guilty of it. Folks like the lame brain Senator Johnny McCain. Folks like Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina. There's more, but we can solve the problem if we identify them and we find a way to change the rules. Because right now, there's no way you can dethrone a sitting member of Congress. That's wrong. Other than the elections. That's wrong. When we elect someone and they misrepresent themselves, by having changed their values. We elect them on their values being similar to ours. And then when they join the other side, they're a traitor. That's what the term traitor really defines. And when they're a traitor, they have to be eliminated from our Congress. Unless we do that, assuming we have a future, which is highly doubtful at this point, there's no reason for us to believe that we're in fact a republic. Just my thoughts. Go talk to some of your friends, find out what party they belong to, and if they're Democrats, take them through this little exercise. Ask them about the Ku Klux Klan, ask them who formed it. Ask them about the Jim Crow laws. Ask them who initiated it, who put it into place. You'll open their eyes, and by doing so, you'll help our country. That's what I think. So what do you think?